down checking on this stream. I log along here, and really the only way in and out of here is to come on the stream bed. But I always have to wait till it's good and froze because a lot of times it'll stay thawed. You know, there's water running through the ground under here, even when it's ice on top. And a lot of times it'll be soft along the edge, and I don't want to break the tractor through. But it's getting close. And I think I kind of want to take this tree is one tree, but there's 6 trunks on it. Yeah. And it's a basswood and it's dying. You know, it's just coming apart. And if we let these go too long, they get rotten in the middle. I've run into that a lot with basswood. So I'm going to take these down while I can, and they're really tall. I got a project I'm using basswood on that they'll go for. But I can get a good shot if I can safely drive on this. But one of the reasons I was down here too was to check on that doe with the 2 fawns. And she was right down here. And I was kind of glad to see, you know, one other day, right by my place, there was a single fawn that I suspect somebody got his mother, because I saw him a couple times after that too. I was by himself, but now today he was with that other. So that's a kind of a good sign. You know, deer normally will kind of herd up in winter. But it's nice to see that they stay right in this area. So they've survived the season, though I have to be careful and not push them out of here because it is still bow season and black powder season, and then people aren't particularly fussy about what they get. Though my understanding, the guy is still looking for that buck because it had a hell of a set of horns on it. You know, he's one of these. He wants the antlers. You don't really give a crap about the deer, he wants the antlers. So he's still hoping to run across that. And the odd thing is I expected I'd be hearing the coyotes carrying on when they found him, but I haven't heard that. So I don't know what's going on with that. Though I'll probably make a check again someday. But it was good to see that, you know, the twins and the mother all right, and that single one, because I had been a little concerned. So if they made it this long, and it's good that they stay, you know, really stay put. It's surprising, really. Okay, when I was going to talk about too, somebody had sent me a link. Okay, I'm not really into the forums on all this stuff. You know, there's, for everything you got an interest in, there's some online forum. Well, I don't usually pay attention to them. Sometimes, I mean, if you got time to kill, you can certainly kill time there, but you have to really go at it, you know, with an open mind, because some of the people that are really into the forum thing are, you know, they really aren't into the item so much as they are talking about the item or the activity. But there is a Marlin owners group forum. I think that's what it's called. I'll put it in the description anyway. And the guy sent me a link to a deal on there. You know, there was always talk, you know, people talk about Remington taking over Marlin, you know, and the whole, but I always thought it was odd. I had never heard anything from somebody who actually used to work at Marlin. You know, that's what I really wanted to hear. Well, somebody that used to work at Marlin did write in on the rant section of the owners group forum. And that's interesting to read, but it's what actually happened, which is exactly what I figured happened, you know, that all the evidence pointed to it being that way. But it's interesting to read if you want to go on that, if you have interest in Marlins. And it involved H&R too, because they went down at the same time. You know, the whole thing was all kind of lumped together. And like I say, to this day, I still miss those, low-cost H&Rs. But anyway, that's an interesting read. Because I get comments all the time. If you say anything about the new Remington Marlins in any way negative, you get all this nonsense about, how Remington saved Marlin, and how, with all this new equipment, Remington can make Marlins better than ever. Well, it just isn't true. Inexperienced people working with this fancy new exotic machinery can never do as good a job as somebody who really had experience doing it. Even with this big old machinery doesn't wear out like new machinery does. Big old machine where you keep rebuilding and reworking. It just keeps working. And if you got somebody who knows that machine and works at the machine, that experienced guy can never be outperformed. Well, he can be. The new machinery will make stuff faster, but it won't make good stuff faster. It'll make cheap crap faster. That's just the way it always works. But somebody who really cares about what they're doing and has the experience to do it right, you just can't beat that. Anyway, that forum is on there. On that forum, that guy wrote a letter, a guy who worked at at Marlin when it got sold to Remington, and so you get a little bit of history there instead of the nonsense that you do here. But it's like I said, they'll never be like they were. It just can't happen. Not in the business climate of today. And somebody was asking me about, it was an email, somebody had, or it was a comment on that 30-30 or 32 Winchester Special. He asked about the 35 Remington. Well, this is that 336A in 35 Remington. That is a very good caliber, and it does shoot cast very well. Again, it's the same as the 32 Winchester Special in that it's got that slow twist barrel. They just have a natural affinity for cast. And this is not microgroove because it's before microgroove. This is like a 50. And that's really what you gotta look for. I wouldn't be surprised if, like say, the 444, even with microgroove, I think would shoot cast fine because it's got a slow twist barrel in it. I'm not fond of microgroove, but I think microgroove would work in a slow twist. It doesn't work in my 30-30 that's in a 336A because it's got that fast twist for a 30-30. That's, like I said before, a 32 Winchester really is a 30-30 done right. Because really the only difference, slightly bigger bore and that slower twist. They put that really fast twist out of 30-30, especially Marlin is even faster than Winchester. That's fine with jacketed bullets, but if you're going to try to shoot cast, it isn't the ticket. It just works that way. You hear all kinds of people claiming all kinds of stuff the other way, but if you try it, that's just how it works. Yeah, let's see. I thought there was one other thing I was going to say, but it doesn't really matter. I was just glad to see that those deer are still here. Deer really are a local animal unless they get pushed. They stay in one general area that they know really well and that they're comfortable in unless they get pushed out. So I try not to push these, so that was good to see them. And it's good to see that single one hanging with them. But when I say about the forums, like I don't spend a lot of time on them, on any of them, because there's like three types of people. There's the people who have no idea what they're talking about at all, and ask things like, they want to know what's the value of a thing, which is such an open deal. It always worries me because it's like, they inherited their grandfather's gun, and now they want to know what they can get for it. That bothers me. And there's no way you can answer a question like that. And then there's the people who actually do know what they're talking about and are really sharp and are really into this. And then there's the third group, which is the people who have no idea what they're talking about, but that doesn't stop them from spouting all kinds of nonsense, because you see that in every forum you go on. I'd say half of the stuff is that way, is just nonsense. Now this Marlin one, like I say, I've looked at this before, and it's better than most because they kind of keep the people in check a little bit. You know, if somebody's talking nonsense, somebody will tell them, yeah, you know, give them, straighten them out. But most of the time, them forums are a waste of time. And usually, like with these axe forums or these bushcrafting forums, the people who are on there are the people who really don't do this stuff, who like to imagine that they do this stuff, but they really don't. You know, like they'll have, you know, I love it when they like restore an axe and they shine her up. She's a mirror finish, but they would never dream of actually chopping wood with this thing because it would ruin the mirror finish. You know, it's not something you're going to learn anything from. You know, like I mean, there's a few people who actually know some actual facts, but a lot of it's just nonsense, so I don't pay any attention on them. It's humorous sometimes if you actually know what you're talking about. It's humorous, but it's kind of a waste of time, and you can get more misinformation than actual information off of them. But like I say, of the forums, that Marlin one is one of the better. You know, I actually, but like I say, you get into that and you'll be reading and reading and reading and reading. You know, it goes on, and I don't really like to spend a lot of time doing that stuff. I'd sooner go out and, you know, try something for myself, because a lot of it is, well, like even when I talk about twist rate, you know, when they establish what their twist rate should be on a barrel, when they decide this, a lot of times that's just you know, we'll do this. You know, it isn't really, you know, there's formulas for this stuff, but the formulas have come about, you know, they figure them out using jacketed bullets and stuff, and you start throwing cast in there, and everything changes. You know, it's like I've talked about before, you don't cut fine threads in a soft material, you cut coarse threads. You know, like in aluminum, you cut coarse threads. Well, if you're running a soft material down threads, which is basically what rifling is, if you've got that really fine, it's just going to strip the lead off. You know, it isn't going to actually spin the bullet, or, you know, it's going to shift the lead on the surface of the bullet. So you look down a barrel, and if it's got that really tight twist, it's just not going to shoot cast well. Well, that'll stir people up anyway. People always get excited, but there again, the people who get excited about this stuff are the people who have theories but don't actually go and try the thing. You know, you can have at her. You know, if people, like I say, some guns with micro groove, like the 444, would probably shoot cast fine, but the majority of them won't. The micro groove works fine with jacketed bullets, or like in a small bore like my 22, but when you get a bigger bore, that micro groove, that's just you know, a 30 caliber with a micro groove, if that was a hot ticket, there'd have been a lot more companies doing it than just Marlin, but it isn't. Not with, in fact, that's why Marlin went to the old Ballard rifling on a lot of their cowboy action guns, which are really just the way the gun should have been in the first place. You know, they shouldn't have changed them to this exotic crap, but no matter. But yes, 35 Remington shoots cast like a dream, and the 32 Special does. You know, I would have a hard time. Like I say, I'd like to get a 336A in the 32 Special. I have the 30-30, but it's micro groove. If I could get a 32 Special that was not micro grooved, so I could shoot cast in it like I do with my Winchester 32 Special, it would be a hard toss-up between a 35 Remington and a 32 Special then. Oh, I was going to mention too. You look at their full buckhorn sights. I know how much people hate regular buckhorn or semi-buckhorn. There, you can hate that all you want. Full buckhorn. The way they're meant to be, and they work really well.